Welcome to the Equinety Podcast, where horse owners just like you share their incredible equinety stories and how equinety is changing their horses' lives. Whether you're searching for something to give your performance horse better focus, faster recovery, and more stamina, or in the extreme case where all hope seems lost, give your horse what it needs to help heal at a cellular level, you'll find it here. So jump in on today's episode to hear how Equinety is helping horses worldwide. Now, welcome your host, John Dowdy.
Hello and welcome to this week's Equinety Podcast. We are swinging down into Arizona by way of Oregon and then by way of North Dakota and back to Arizona. It's a full circle we're starting, but we're going to start in Arizona. Nickalus Sims, a working cowboy, roper, punching cattle. We're going to talk about it all here. Nickalus, welcome to the Team Equinety Podcast.
Thanks, John, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, you're very welcome. We're always honored to have people take their time and spend it here with us to share their experience with the Equinety product. So as I mentioned in the intro there, so you live in Arizona and you got a opportunity to go up and punch hundreds and thousands of cattle in North Dakota. So tell us about how all this came to be and what you found, because you didn't need to bring your own horses. You were going to be given a horse to ride. So tell us how this transpired.
Yes, sir. So we're in Arizona and we're looking for a new place. And this guy called us and he was wanting us to come up and manage 500 head of cows for him on 1,200 acres up in Powers Lake, North Dakota. And we got up there and I told him we only had one horse at the time because we lost our other horse due to a bad horse deal in Arizona. And he was like, that's no problem. I've got a horse for you here. And I got up to Powers Lake, and there's this horse tied to a trailer, and he's pulled back to the trailer, and this lead rope's about to snap, and he's halfway laid down. And I was like, well, of course, that's my horse.
always have to be cautious of the free ones, right?
Right, exactly. And I asked him what the story was on that horse, and he told me that he picked him up off the Standing Rock reservation for a guy over there, and for $750. And I was like, yeah, I really believe that. And he was like, you want to get shoes put on him? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I went and I picked up his feet and see how he'd be, and he just sat there trying to paw and kick at me, and I didn't get him shot that day. But
yeah. Now also we should mention that you shoe horses and you also do chiropractic care, so you know a little bit about what you're doing here.
Yes, sir. And then that entire week he had them cows that just kept getting out, and he had probably about 100 that kept getting out because his fences just weren't good. And it was about 9 miles to the highway and then 9 miles back from the highway that they were getting out on. So I was punching probably about 100 to 150 head of cows by myself a day, going about 18 miles a day for 7 days a week. Jeez. Until we got some fences fixed. And I thought for sure he'd be rode down enough to get shoes put on him, and I tried, and he still would try pawing and kicking. So we had to tie him down to get shoes put on him, and he scuffed himself up pretty dang good. And I was looking for a horse feed that had all that stuff, and I ran across Equinety on my Instagram feed out of all places, and I saw just a diagram of all the amino acids that they had.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, shoot, that's got to work. So I got the 3 of the samples, and I started giving it to him. And I honestly, in a week, he was just a completely whole different horse, from his hide to his feeling to his whole temperament. I was able to get shoes put on him. I mean, it just changed this whole horse's mentality.
Yeah. Now, how was the body conformation of this horse when you first got there?
So he wasn't like necessarily fat. He was just really out of shape. He was kind of more sucked up looking too, like he didn't drink a whole lot, and just kind of your typical looking res horse, Mm-hmm. And probably now, after being on it for about a month and a half, I mean, this horse is just filled out and he's shinier than heck.
Wow.
But he's a little bit furrier than I want him to be right now because we're up north.
Up north, yeah. Yeah. So how quickly did you begin noticing changes?
Probably, honestly, in a week is when I was able to get shoes put on him, and he just stood there like it wasn't even a bother.
Wow, that's incredible.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Right then I became a believer of it. I told Taylor, my wife, I was like, we got to get this on auto shipment.
Yeah. So what were some of the other things that you began to notice after the first week, and as you went into a 30-day mark?
Well, so by the second week, I had started him on the head side, just roping a Smarty roping dummy on him. And I didn't have anyone pulling it. I was just set up in the arena, and I'd set that roping dummy probably about 50 yards out in front of the roping chute. And I would just kick this horse up, and then I'd get to that roping dummy, and I'd stop him when I'd throw, and just kind of get him steer stopping, get the idea of it, where he should be in his positioning. And probably by towards the second end of the week, I guess I should say, I was able to do it. I took my bridle off of him and did it with no reins or anything. And he went from sucking back, trying to paw you when you're riding them, to not using a bridle.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty dang. I was really impressed. I was pretty tickled about it.
Yeah. Now, for those of you who are tuning in, maybe you're looking for something to try to help your horse's overall conformation, maybe the recovery, the stamina, the focus, hoof growth, just the filling out, the healthier coat. This one product that we're talking about, Equinety Horse Excel, it's 100% pure amino acids. There's no fillers, no sugars, no starches, and there's no loading dose. And it's 5.2 grams a serving, which is about like a teaspoon. It's not very much at all. But what it's specifically designed to do, and what makes it so unique, is the fact that it targets the pituitary gland, which is the gland in the body that releases hormones. And when this happens, which happens within hours, the body is able to send its own hormones to its own problem areas. And this could be, one issue, or it could be, in this case, multiple issues where we're talking about, recovery, stamina, the focus, hoof growth, filling out, the healthier coat. It really customizes to each horse. You could have 50 different horses with 50 different things going on, and it's going to customize to each horse, while at the same time, there will be commonalities with all of them. And that's one of the great things too with this product, is it works really, really fast. And, here you have a horse that you didn't have a lot of history on whatsoever. And within a week, you're able to pick up the feet and do the things. And now what have you been on now? 45 days or so?
Yeah, and we have our 6-month son. Well, he just turned 6 months a couple days ago, and he rides him around everywhere with me. He absolutely loves that horse, and that horse loves him. It's crazy. We'll go out to feed in the morning, and we'll bring him out to feed, because I'll usually just set him on him bareback and let him sit on him bareback and have him just walk around and stuff.
Yeah.
And that horse will come up to him, and every morning just won't leave his side.
That's crazy. That's pretty awesome. Yep, a buddy for life.
It's a total kill pen horse. Yeah, the total kill pen just turned into a straight old buddy for sure.
Wow. Yeah, well, that's some of the best kind right there.
Exactly. That's for sure.
Yeah. Wow. That is pretty awesome. So you're no longer in North Dakota. You've made your way west into the Oregon area, but now you're going to be heading back down to Arizona. And what are your plans when you get back home?
Oh, roping for sure in the nice weather.
Yeah. Get out of that cold.
Oh yeah, and where we're posted up in Wickenburg, there's a guy that owns the property. His name's Jim Simpson. He won the world cutting a few times, and he just has a really beautiful cutting ranch down there in the palm trees. Mm-hmm. And we're just really lucky to get in there with them and stuff. And Anita runs a bunch of that ozone therapy out of there as well. So then Taylor will be doing a bunch of that ozone therapy with her on people, and Taylor does body work on people as well.
Oh, nice.
And then I'll be doing, for kind of a side deal, chiropractoring with her and just doing a little bit of the horse side of things.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. Well, if there's anybody that's tuning in that is listening to this story, I mean, we have thousands of these stories here on these podcasts, But if there's somebody that's thinking, wow, this stuff sounds really good, but a little too good to be true, what would you have to say to them?
Oh, I would just tell them they'd have to do it for themselves.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Because I was pretty, well, I just get skeptical over horse feeds, because there's so many out there that say we do this and we do that, but they just get their stuff from a cheaper market, and it's really not that good anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I just get really skeptical over horse feeds, and within that week of that change of this horse, I mean, it sold me for sure.
Yeah,
my grandpa training rope horses and stuff. We'd have probably grown up, there would probably be about 20 to 25 head of horses down there that were all new, that were probably going to be replaced in a week or so. And we tried everything on them, and this horse right here probably tops it off with Equinety.
That's crazy. Well, the thing that we found too is being on the market going on 8 years now, that whether you're in a high-end performance English barn to a rescue facility to, pro horses to everything in between, they are all benefiting from this one little tiny scoop of amino acids in the Equinety Horse Excel. And it's, simply tells us that horses in general are lacking in amino acids. And so that's why we're supplementing it. And it's, and I also say that the upper 90 percentile of people are seeing changes in 30 days or less. I mean, sometimes it does take a little bit longer, but the odds of you seeing something quick is very, very likely. So we're definitely blessed in that way. So, well, Nickalus Sims, I really appreciate you taking the time to share your story here on the Team Equinety podcast.
Well, I appreciate you having me on.
You bet. All right. Well, thanks so much.
That's all for this episode of the Equinety Podcast. For more information on purchasing Equinety, be sure to visit our website at teamequinety.com, where you'll also find product information as well as more testimonials on how others have seen amazing results by implementing Equinety into their horse's supplement regime. We'll have more stories on how Equinety is helping horses worldwide right here on a future episode of the Equinety Podcast.